Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am just going to hop on Facebook real quick. Make sure that I share. Make sure that everybody knows that we're live. How is everybody? Are you guys ready for Christmas? That is only 4 days away. Perfect. All right. Now, I'm hoping that my connection stays stable enough that I can do my presentation without any major issues. I guess we will see though. I apologize. I am just trying to share it to my personal page as well. My back's killing me. All right. That was done with me. I wanted to make sure that long connection. Come on. Okay. I'm hoping that now that I've moved my computer a little bit, it'll stay kind of stable. All right. Welcome to week 9, everybody. If you've made it this far without throwing your laptop into the Ohio River, well, congratulations. You're already more resilient than most. I'm Raylan Zelinsky, but please call me Ray. I'm your local online business manager here at Cosmic Lotus Consulting, and I'm broadcasting to you straight from McKees Rocks. You know anything about the rocks, you know that we don't do the fluff, and we certainly don't have time for corporate nonsense. I built this consultancy specifically for the little guys. And I'm talking about the micro businesses, the startups under 5 years old, and the businesses in economically disadvantaged areas that the big corporate, that the big name consultants won't even look at because their retainer fee is higher than your annual rent. I'm here for the scrappy underdogs who are tired of being told just to spend $10,000 on ads when they're still trying to figure out how to pay for coffee. You can find me literally anywhere. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, Alignable, Instagram. I have a website, cosmiclotusconsult.com. You can find me everywhere except for Yelp as Cosmic Lotus Consult. And so shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. My email is raylyn at cosmiclotusconsult.com. Feel free to shoot me an email, or you can call Cosmic Lotus Consult directly at 412-204-7181. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about tonight, and that's nightmare fuel, I'll tell you. It's stifled growth. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, approximately 20% of small businesses fail within their first year, and a staggering 50% fail by year 5. Why, you may ask? Usually it's not because the product was bad. It's because they hit a growth ceiling. They got trapped in a market that felt like a stagnant pond, surrounded by competitors who are all undercutting each other on price until everybody goes broke. A report by CB Insights found that 19% of startups fail simply because they got outcompeted. They didn't have a secret weapon. They were just another generic option in a world that demands a reason to care. So, how do we stop the bleeding? How do we grow when the market feels like it's actually trying to suffocate you? We stop trying to play by the big box rules. We're going to find your unfair advantage and weaponize it. Buckle up, because we're moving into slide 2, where we diagnose exactly why your business is currently feeling like it's stuck in the 5 o'clock traffic on the Parkway West with no AC, or in this season, with no heat. All right, so today we are going to talk about the problem, and that problem is the paradox of stagnation. So let's take a look at the messy stuff. We're on to slide 2. And if you've ever tried to merge onto the Fort Pitt Bridge during rush hour while everyone is being a jackass and nobody is letting you in, you know exactly how it feels to run a business in a stagnant market. You're revving the engine and you're doing the work. You're revving the engine and you're doing the work, but you're stuck behind a wall of established firms that have been there since the steel mills were still smoking. Here's the reality for a lot of us here in the Rocks and in similar neighborhoods. We face a dual front war. On one side, you have the big guys, the corporations with marketing budgets bigger than our entire zip code's GDP. But then on the other side, you're struggling to maintain your quality while trying to grow. It's the classic, do I get bigger and suck, or do I stay small and starve dilemma? Here's a spoiler alert. Neither one is a good option. But then there's the shrinking pie, the data. And trust me, we love data here. Even when it's depressing, shows that in distressed areas, there are actually fewer businesses. You'd think that that means less competition, right? Wrong. Because the consumer spending is lower. The few businesses that are here are fighting like cats in a dumpster over every single dollar. You aren't just competing with the shop next door. You're competing with your client's grocery bill, the electric bill, and the fact that everyone is tightening their belts until they can't breathe. This then creates the zero error zone. In a booming market like Silicon Valley, you can mess up a launch and just pivot. But in areas that are economically distressed, similar to McKees Rocks, if you botch an order or miscalculate your overhead, that's not just a learning experience. That's how am I going to pay the rent next month experience. Scaling in economically disadvantaged areas is incredibly difficult because there is zero room for error and there's no organic growth safety net. If you want to grow, you have to be more than good. You have to be surgically precise. So, how do we stop fighting for crumbs and start owning the bakery? Stick around because slide 3, we're going to talk about some of those action steps and how just to stop doing another option and start being the only option. All right, listen up. This is where the rubber meets the road. Or if you're driving through McKees Rocks, where the tires meet the potholes. We're moving into the action steps because hope is not a business strategy, and praying that the big guy goes out of business hasn't worked since the 90s. So we're going to talk about defining your unique selling points. What makes you different? And don't tell me it's quality or customer service. Those are the absolute bare minimum requirements for not getting sued. I'm talking about your actual secret weapon. Is your process faster? Is it hyper local? Do you solve a problem that everybody else is too lazy to touch? This unique selling point is the foundation. Without it, you're just another name on a Google search page that nobody's going to click. It needs to be so clear that even the guy 3 beers deep at the local pub understands why he should call you. Then you're going to analyze the competition. We're not just looking at what do they do well, so that we can copy them like a bunch of unspirited, we're not even going to say that, but we're looking for where they suck too. We are looking at their 1-star reviews. Are they ignoring small jobs? Are they taking weeks to call people back? Are they using jargon that makes people feel stupid? That's your unfair advantage. Find the unmet need, then fill it. While the big corporate firms are busy in a board meeting discussing synergy, you will be on the ground solving the problems that they're too premium to care about. Lastly, build a brand identity. Look, we're in a low-income, economically disadvantaged area. People here buy from people, not logos. Doesn't matter how amazing your logo is. You aren't going to attract the clients that you want if you're not personable and human. If your brand sounds like a robot wrote your mission statement, then you've already lost. Use storytelling. Tell them why you do what you do. Tell them that you're from the neighborhood and that you give a damn. Authenticity is the only thing that scales without costing you a fortune in ad spend. Give them a reason to care. Give them a reason to connect with you. And that has nothing to do with your price point. This is how we avoid the race to the bottom. We don't win by being the cheapest. We win by being the most indispensable. Now, let's move on to slide 4, where we're going to get even more tactical about engineering that competitive edge. All right, so here you have it. This is going to be a heart-to-heart. Being boring is the most expensive mistake that you can make here in Pittsburgh. If you look and sound like every other business on West Carson, the only way that you're then going to be able to compete is on price. And that is a race to the bottom that absolutely nobody wins. Just look at Sears. No offense, Sears. I loved you guys when you were in business, but competing for the lowest price doesn't ever get you far. So, step 1, you need to ruthlessly interrogate your own operations. I'm talking about taking a full-blown $0 audit. Sit down with a cup of coffee or energy drink, black, no sugar, or 250 milligrams of caffeine at least. Look, guys, we're trying to be serious here. And admit that you're just okay. Then find that one thing that you do that actually delights people. Maybe you're the only roofer in Allegheny County who actually shows up when they say they will. Maybe you're the only boutique that remembers your customers' kids' names. That's not nice. That's your secret sauce. Identify it, because some self-reflection is free, but paying for ignorance about your own value will cost you and your business. So one of the things that I do that helps me stand out is I keep my prices affordable for the little guy. I'm not looking for the big corporate businesses. Maybe eventually I will, but for now, I'm sticking with the little guy. And even when I do go to the big corporate guys, that just means that I will have more pro bono hours to offer people. So, still offering and giving back to the community is just one key piece. It's my secret sauce. It's the one thing that I am going to keep part of my business model forever. It's what makes me stand out to other consultants. Step 2, invent some branding theater. This is my favorite part. You know how fancy consultants can charge up to $500 an hour to give you a framework? You can do that too for the low price of $0. Take your basic process, the stuff that you do every day, give it a name that sounds like it was forged in a lab. Instead of I clean gutters, it's the Everclear drainage protocol. And at Cosmic Lotus, I don't just organize your files. I implement the Lotus structural sync. It's a Jedi mind trick. It tells the client that you have a system, you have a brain, and you aren't just winging it. Lastly, aggressively plaster your new superpower everywhere. Don't be shy. This is McKee's Rocks, not a Victorian tea party. Put that USP in your email signature, your bio, your LinkedIn bio, your Yelp page, and heck, maybe even get it tattooed on your arm. Possibly not the tattoo part. The point is, your customers should be hit in the face with your USP before they even say hello. And for those of you who have forgotten what USP is, that is your unique selling point. Make it impossible for them to forget why you are the only choice that makes sense for their wallet and their sanity. Now that you found our sauce and named it something fancy, and it's time to look at the other guys. Now it's time to look at the other guys. Let's move on to slide 5 and learn how to scout the competition without getting caught. All right, eyes up. We're on slide 5, and it's time for some corporate espionage. Who out here enjoyed a little Carmen Sandiego when they were a kid? I have to admit, it added to my problem-solving skills and critical thinking. But our corporate espionage is the legal kind, I promise. If you want to survive a stagnant market in a place like the Rocks, you have to be a hunter. You have to know exactly where the big guys are falling asleep at the wheel. First, we're going on a digital dumpster dive. I want you to go to Google, Yelp, Facebook. I want you to stalk your competitors' reviews like you're trying to find out who your ex is dating. Ignore the 5-star everything was great fluff and go straight for the 1-star, the 2-star, and even the 3-star reviews. That's where the gold is buried. If customers are complaining that the premium firm downtown won't return a phone call for a job under 10 grand, guess what? That's your dinner ticket. Their laziness is your payday. In Pittsburgh, we don't have time for people who are too busy to be helpful. Next, identify the unmet need. Think of these as the orphans of the industry. These are the clients who are too small for the big firms, but too smart for the fly-by-night scammers. Maybe they're scared off by the jargon. And that sounds like it was written by a lawyer on a bender. Maybe they need someone who understands that a business in McKees Rocks or surrounding areas has different priorities than one in Shadyside. Find that specific pain point, that thing that everyone else is ignoring, and make it your entire identity. If everyone else is high end, you have to be high impact. Finally, and this is the most important part, if you want to keep your sanity, avoid the race to the bottom. Being the cheapest is a death sentence. There is always some asshole willing to go $10 lower than you until you're both working for free. Instead, be the most efficient. Use your competitor's overhead as your weapon. While they're paying 5 figures a month for a mahogany desk and a view of the point, you're working from your kitchen table in your pajamas. You can provide the same or better result for a fraction of their cost because you don't have to pay for a lobby fountain. You stay lean, they stay bloated. You take their clients while they're busy deciding which artisanal water to stock in the break room. You've scouted the enemy. We know where they're weak. And now let's move on to slide 6 and talk about how to build a brand identity that really makes your customers feel like you're the only person in the world who actually gets them. And guys, this is all super easy to do and implement. I also highly recommend doing the mystery shopper that can get you some more information. So, calling and just scoping out your biggest competitors can sometimes give you an unfair advantage. Did they answer the phone, or did all of your information happen to go to voicemail? Did they have you on hold for 10 minutes? When they answered, were they kind and courteous, or did they make you feel like you were interrupting them and that you were more, or that whatever they were doing was more important? All right, so we have made it to the finish line. This is the very last slide for the evening. So We've scouted the enemies. We've named our framework something fancy. And now we have to talk about the S word. We're talking about the soul of your business. First, you need to curate your brand origin story. And what I mean by that is you have to weave in those interesting parts, those things that really show why you are there for your clients. So for Cosmic Lotus Consulting, I started up officially in 2021, November of 2020. COVID was a big thing, and at the time, I had been a preschool teacher. Due to the fact that I have significant health issues and autoimmune disease, I couldn't go back to work until COVID was basically done. And I had young children. I had a 2-year-old who was almost 3, and I had a 7-year-old who was already in school. I had to take the best precautions for my children that I could. So my daughter ended up in homeschooled for 2 years, basically. My youngest didn't go to daycare. And we had to tackle some other related issues for my kids, which meant I needed to have a flexible work schedule and time. And constantly taking phone calls wasn't something that was going to work for me because my kids had a lot of appointments. I had a lot of appointments. And we were doing a lot of traveling back and forth for medical reasons. A normal job wouldn't have supported such a busy schedule. And a normal schedule would not have allowed me to truly focus on my children while still being able to build the frameworks of an active business. And so these were all things that I really had to take into consideration when deciding what could I offer people? What did I want my business to look like? And the fact that COVID was a struggle for me, I knew that it would be a struggle for other people. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I did was something that would give back to the community. I wanted it to give back to the community right from the jump. And so that was why I implemented pro bono hours. And I started working with Media PGH and the Global Sisterhood. And I started getting various certifications. So I got a Google Coursera certification in customer analytics during that time. I worked on several bookkeeping certifications through Udemy and online business manager certifications through Udemy and virtual assistant certifications through Udemy. And that was even before I got my recent email specialist certification through Guru Media Hub. And I'm currently working on a digital marketing certification through HubSpot. And so I'm always keeping the education up so that I can continue to present the best strategic planning and online business management services that I can for low-income clients. I don't want them to feel like they are, either getting services for free or paying a premium and getting something less than what they would if they'd have just spent the extra $1,000. And so that's really my unique selling point and my origin story and how I became the business that I am. And so you really want to think about, why are you doing this? Did you start this business because you were tired of watching your neighbors get ripped off by experts who couldn't find Chartiers Avenue with a GPS? Say that. People don't want a perfect corporate history. They want a survival story. And authenticity here is the only currency left that hasn't been destroyed by inflation. And for the love of everything that is holy, stop trying to sound like a Fortune 500 robot. You aren't presenting to a board of directors in Geneva. You're talking to a neighbor trying to keep their shop lights on. And if your brand voice is the professional best friend who keeps it real, then lean into that. Jargon is just a mask for people who don't know what they're doing. And finally, aggressively humanize the transaction. Nobody wakes up thinking, I really need a high level OBM. They wake up thinking, I am drowning and I need a life raft. They aren't buying my time. They are buying the feeling of finally being able to sleep at night. Every social post, every email, every interaction needs to remind them that there's a living, breathing human being behind your product who actually gives a damn. And so you really want to take that extra moment when you see a client struggling. Give some encouraging motivation, in the form of a comment, or reach out to them, check on them. If you know an anniversary is coming up, send them maybe a 10% off coupon. Highlight a local business that you see doing really awesome things. Those types of things will really go a long way to humanizing your brand. Which brings us to why you're here watching this video. You've survived week 9, but strategy without execution is just a hallucination. So what I've done is I've started to put together a tactical recon kit for you. This is going to be your battle plan, your mystery script, and worksheets that I've covered information about tonight. And in the real world, a consultant would charge you $1,250 for these assets. I'll be giving them to you for free. I'm a McKees Rocks girl, and I fully believe that the little guy deserves a fair fight. So if you're tired of the stagnant market, if you're tired of being invisible, and if you're ready to weaponize your business, watch for these free resources. I'm going to drop them on Tuesday. And then check out Cosmic Lotus Consulting. I'll be your partner in crime, and you don't have to figure this out alone. Give me a call at 412-204-7181. Or, again, shoot me an email at raylyn@cosmiclotusconsult.com. You can also find me on Twitch, YouTube, Google My Business, LinkedIn, Alignable, Yelp, and more. I'm Ray, and this has been week 9. Now, stop being boring. Get your free resources on Tuesday, and let's go show this city what you're made of. Class dismissed.